Hey guys, welcome back. Talking about restoring range of motion today. You know, in the physical therapy world, measuring range of motion, again, one of the first things that we learn to do in school. It's also something that we do, you know, in the gym is understanding, you know, what ranges someone has available to them, which could possibly impact their movement, impact their performance, and also impact potentially, you know, their pain or discomfort. And I think it's a really important question to talk about is how can range of motion or addressing it, improving it, actually impact pain? And I think before we talk about that, I'd like to introduce this concept here of, you know, rigidity and too many options. And I think this graph, this very simple graph demonstrates, you know, any task is going to have a certain amount of range of motion or movement options that we need to accomplish that task. And, you know, the body is amazing in that it's going to self-organize based off the constraints that it has, and those constraints can include our actual joint range of motion or patterns. And so there's gonna be a time where we have limited options, meaning we're maybe more in the spectrum of a rigid system where we don't have a lot of options to choose from. So we don't have a lot of movement or movement solutions to get the job done. There's gonna be an acceptable amount of movement solutions that we have, or you can think about an acceptable amount of range of motion that we have that will allow us to complete that movement or that desired task. And there's also going to be a piece where maybe we have too many options, where we have maybe more on the spectrum of hypermobility, where it's difficult for us to organize because we don't have enough constraint. And so again, I think it's just important to recognize that with any task, there's going to be a desirable amount of range of motion to efficiently accomplish that task. Now, in my opinion, there are three reasons why, you know, restoring range of motion, if identified that it is limited or pathological or decreasing performance, there are three things that I believe can be helpful in restoring that range of motion. You know, the first one again is increasing potential of movement or increasing movement options. When we are in pain and we're moving a certain way, and we do have limited options, giving someone a different way to move by giving them increased options or increased ranges of motion has the potential for them to be able to start moving outside of a painful range or a painful pattern. And again, that doesn't mean that it's a good pattern or bad pattern. It means it's a different pattern. It's a different solution. So again, restoring range of motion increases potential to find a different solution to accomplish a desired task or meaningful task without pain. In my opinion, that's valuable, to give someone the ability to move without having to only choose one way that is painful in that moment, okay? So keep people moving in a different way, which allows them to move without pain. Not bad. Second thing, distribute stress. So by changing or increasing movement options or restoring range of motion, again, what we're able to do is we're able to pattern differently to possibly load certain structures and take stress off other areas. Again, not necessarily a good or bad pattern, but it does allow us to make short-term changes in where we're stressing and how we're stressing, again, which can be valuable for allowing our people to stay on the move without pain. Lastly, from a performance standpoint, there are going to be tasks, again, which require a certain amount of range, right? And there may be prime movers in our body, in our system, that are more efficient at moving compared to others, right? We look at it, you know, this example of, you know, deadlifting, right? I do need a certain amount of range in my hips, in my posterior chain to bend down and touch the floor. Of course, I can get it from my lower back, right? But there may be a time where it's maybe more efficient to do a hip hinge and spare the low back from rounding, right? Same thing with pressing overhead. From an efficiency standpoint, having my wrist, elbow, shoulders locked out over my stacked torso may be a little bit more efficient than holding the bar in front of my body. right? So from a performance standpoint, there are going to be advantages in any specific task where having an acceptable range of motion actually improves efficiency, which can also improve the output, whatever that might be: speed, strength, performance. So again, restoring range of motion. Why are we restoring it in the first place? In my opinion, 3 reasons there. Again, increasing potential for movement options, right? Distributing stress to different body parts. Again, both of those are short-term solutions, not necessarily good or bad, but when we are experiencing pain or discomfort, again, giving someone an alternative way to move, again, not a bad way to keep people active and keep people moving, especially in the fitness community. And lastly, efficiency and output, okay? Leave any comments or questions that you have. Again, a very, what you would think is a common question, but hopefully if you have any alternative ideas about range of motion, I'd also love to hear them. Thanks, guys.